So Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith has been getting a lot of offers. 4.5 million was the most recent that he apparently got to transfer out of Ohio State. Obviously, he's coming off a ridiculous freshman season, probably the best freshman season that we've ever seen before when he was with Ohio State. They just won the national championship, had a great season. I believe he had 16 touchdowns by the end of the year, had ridiculous performances against Tennessee and Oregon, and played really well in that final game against Notre Dame. In the game against Texas, he was obviously doubled the entire game, which is really unheard of from a freshman. And he's the best player that they had on their team. He has been incredible for the Buckeyes. And I expect him to continue to get a lot of offers, to continue to get maybe there's an offer that goes up to $8 million later on to try to get him to leave Ohio State. But I really do believe he will not ever leave Ohio State, as he's there for 2 more years. Sophomore and junior year, not going to be eligible for 2 more years. The reason that I believe this is he's not chasing the bag. If he was chasing the bag, he would have went to Miami when he was getting recruited out of high school. They offered him a ridiculous amount of money. He decided to stay, play with the Buckeyes, because he knows that barring what would have to be a catastrophic injury, he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I believe he would be potentially the first overall pick in this year's draft. And we've only seen 1 year of work. And I just don't see a world where he ever leaves Ohio State. You have probably the best receiver coach in the country in Brian Hartline there. And Ohio State has shown this time and time again, where they've taken these receivers, and I think he would have worked anywhere, and he will work anywhere. But you've seen it before with that room, how they're able to get these receivers to perform and outperform and play so well. The amount of people that they've had drafted before, he's still going to get money at Ohio State. I believe next year he's set to make about $3 million. Still a good bag that he's going to end up getting staying with Ohio State. So I really just don't see a path to where he would be wanting to leave Ohio State. So I'll predict it right now that he doesn't leave the Buckeyes. It is enticing. It's a lot of money being thrown at a young guy. It's a lot of money being thrown at a legendary receiver, probably the best player in college football. I believe that Ohio State currently has the best 2 players in college football on their roster in him and Caleb Downs. But just given what they've accomplished so far at Ohio State, given that he's guaranteed to be the number 1 guy there for 2 years going forward, all the awards and accolades he's win, the ability that Ohio State's going to have to win potentially 2 more national championships while he's there, he's not leaving the Buckeyes. He's not going to do that. People will try. We will probably see, as I said, offers of 8 to 10 million to try to get him, because he's the most valuable in college football. If Michigan just offered that high school kid that's going to be a quarterback $10 million, there's no reason why a team wouldn't go out and offer Jeremiah Smith the same. And I honestly really do believe if he was chasing a bag in college, then he could make $8 million next year, and then he could leave again and make another 8 to 10 the year after. That's not why he's here. He knows he's going to get paid. He knows he's going to get that big NFL contract in the future. And this is a player that really has the potential to be one of the best wide receivers ever. He's off to a better start than any receiver has ever been before at his age. He's the best wide receiver ever at his age. It's never been seen before. So he's going to get paid. He's going to get his time. But it's just crazy how much money people are offering him, but he's worth that amount of money, and that's why college football right now needs a form of regulation. It really does, with how crazy it's going to be, the amount of people that they're going to try to lure from Ohio State. Carnell Tate, another receiver for Ohio State, slotted to be the number 2 next year. He's already been offered $1 million somewhere else, and I think that he'll get that amount of money or close to it from Ohio State next year. But it's going to be interesting to see what the landscape is for the future and where some of these high-profile people go. But the reason that I think Jeremiah Smith isn't going anywhere is just simply because of what he's established at Ohio State, the relationship. He's already a legend there. And if you're gonna want to finish your career in college as a legend at Ohio State, gonna get all the accolades in the world. And I see no world. They can try. As I'll continue to say, these other teams, they can try to persuade him with other offers. He's already made it publicly clear that he doesn't want to leave the Buckeyes. It would take, I really do believe it would take somewhere in the range of like 20 million. Nobody's going to do that. But to lure him away from Ohio State, it would be a really tough feat for people. And I think Ohio State will retain Jeremiah Smith going forward. Now, as for Carnell Tate and some of the other people that the Buckeyes have to try to keep, it's possible that they could go like Carnell Tate. I would understand him potentially leaving for a $3 to $5 million offer, just simply because he would have an opportunity to be a number one somewhere, and that could up his draft stock. I still think he's going to get paid either way, regardless. But it is something to watch out for the Buckeyes, because now you have all this talent, you've stockpiled all of it. There are teams out there that are going to try to get a taste of the success that Ohio State's been having. And they're going after Jeremiah. They're going after Carnell Tate. They'll go after a few of the younger receivers for Ohio State. There's defensive guys they'll go after. All positions. No position is safe in modern college football. And it takes a little bit away from it. And I do think that if the NFL has a salary cap, there really should be one that's put in place for college football, because all it takes is one booster lining up and saying, hey, I'm worth X amount of money. Why not spend this amount of money to try to get this guy to come to my school? I understand it. It's really easy for some of these people to do. A lot of these schools, especially Big Ten schools, there are some SEC programs where they have these boosters that are really, really well off and really support a lot to the university. And they have the amount of money, if they so please, to go out and lure these players from really high-end programs like an Ohio State, like a Michigan, like an Alabama, and lure them to go to other places because of the money. I get it. I think it's good for college football that these players, they deserve to get paid for sure. They definitely deserve to get paid. But there needs to be a salary cap, really restriction to it, so it's just a little bit more normalized and they're able to put a structure on it. But there's no way Jeremiah Smith is leaving Ohio State after what he's done. From what I've seen, if he wanted to go somewhere else and he was chasing the bag, he would have committed to Miami last year, and we'd be talking about a completely different team right now. But once again, congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Continue to get it done, and I think they're going to keep their guy, Jeremiah Smith, for the long coming future.